Welcome to our mathematics lesson. We are still looking at financial mathematics, and in our last lesson we were looking at repayment of loans, what we call loan repayments. And when we were looking at that, we actually managed to define what a loan is, and we also tried to look at what repayments are. And we said that repayments are the regular amounts of money that are given back to a financial institution to repay the loan, and that included the initial loan borrowed plus the interests. That was the definition of the word repayment or installments. So as I had promised you, in this lesson we want to look at another subtopic in financial mathematics called paying off a purchase. Paying off a purchase. This simply means you have gone and acquired some items and you want to pay for the same items. Now, there are several ways in which you can make payments for a given purchase, and the most common one is the cash payment. This is the most common one. We call it a cash payment. We can also call it a one-off installment. That is where you just make one installment and there you go, you are through with the payment. We can also have a second way of paying for a given item or purchase, which we refer to as the hire purchase. The hire purchase. I remember in one of the previous lessons we looked at the hire purchase mode of payment, and we categorized it into two. In the first category we had is where you make a deposit followed by regular repayments or regular installments. Category number one is where we have a deposit being made followed by installments. Regular installments or repayments. This one also applied when we were repaying the loans. So in our second category, you can decide to purchase something and you are given a condition that there is no need. You are not given the condition for making a deposit first before you make follow-up with installments, but they decide to let you pay for the same using installments alone. So this we can call it installments. Installments only. You repay using installments at regular time intervals as agreed, and that regular time intervals can be every time you earn. And we have looked at durations where people earn their salary or wages. That can be weekly, fortnightly, or even monthly. So every time you earn, you make a certain installment, or as agreed by the person selling the items. To understand this concept, I want us now to move on and look at examples that will guide us through these concepts. Our first example we have a person by the name Harry. Harry buys a new computer at 2,100 at $2,100 on the following terms. On the following terms. The first term, Harry is supposed to make a 20% deposit. And the second condition is this should be followed by monthly repayments of $90 each for 2 years. For 2 years. Before even we solve this question, it is good that we understand our question that we are dealing with first. When you look at the two conditions provided, we have a 20% deposit. This deposit is 20% of the original price, is actually 20% of the original price or the cash price. And what are we talking about? We are talking about a cash price of $2,100. So the 20% will be the 20% of that amount. Then we will, Harry is required to make monthly repayments or installments of $90 for 2 years. We also need to understand how many months will that be, because that will determine the number of periods that we are talking about, or the number of repayments that Harry is supposed to make. So armed with those two ideas, we can now move on and solve the questions. The questions are, part A is for us to find the deposit paid. We find the deposit paid. As we have discussed the question before we come to the solution, we have agreed that the deposit will be 20% of the original price of the new computer. So the deposit, our deposit, will be equal to 20% of the original price. The original price or the original cost, this will be 20% of $2,100. Now, as we have discussed in the previous lessons, for us to find a percentage of a given amount or quantity, we need to convert the given percentage into a fraction or decimal before we proceed to multiply with that given amount. And I have encouraged my students to use the fractional part of it, because it is easy for you to cancel and you can do the calculations even without the help of a calculator. So if we convert 20%, this means we have 20 out of 100. Then the word of means multiplication. This will be multiplied by $2,100. And when you look at this, these zeros will cancel. Then we remain with 20 multiplied by 21. And this will give us a deposit of $420. The deposit that Harry will have to make as a precondition to acquire the new computer will be $420. Let us look at the second question. The second part of this question, part B. We find the total amount paid for the computer. the total amount paid for the computer. Now, when we talk about the total amount paid for the computer, this means any payment that will be made towards the same. And this will include the deposit that was made and the sum of all the installments. So we can say total paid to be equal to the deposit that was made plus the sum of installments. The sum of installments. And in this equation, as you can see, we already have the deposit. We have calculated our deposit, which is $420. We don't have the sum of installments. So we proceed to calculate the sum of installments before we get to the total paid. Sum of installments or sum of repayments. And for us to get that, we need to know the number of installments that are supposed to be made, the number of installments multiplied by the amount paid in each installment. Which we can call the value of each installment. The value of each installment. And the number of installments, we said we extract that from the duration that we are given, and the duration is 2 years. And remember, each installment is, every installment is made every month. So if we are going to have 2 years, if we have 2 years, and every year we have 12 installments, then this means we have around 24. We have 24 number of installments. Then we multiply by the value of each installment, which is $90. And this will give us $2,160. So this is the sum of installments, and from this we can proceed to calculate the total pay or total paid. Our deposit, which is the sum of the deposit plus the sum of the installments, and this will give us a total of $2,580. This is the total amount that is paid towards the repayment of the computer, the new computer, and the cash price was just $2,100. So let us look at the last bit of this question, which is we find the interest charged. Part C. So when we are looking at the interest, remember, this is the extra cost that one bears as a result of not paying in cash or not making instant payments. That extra charge is what we are referring to as the interest. So in this case, what will be our interest? The interest will be the difference between the total paid, the total amount of money that was paid, total amount of money that was paid minus the original cost. The original cost. We are using the original cost because we don't want to restrict ourselves to using the cash price or the cash cost, because sometimes when you are paying for items with cash or making instant payment, you can bargain and get a discount. Remember, we have also looked at discounted prices. So if you make cash payment, you can even get a discounted price that could be less than this original cost or the original price that we have there. So how much is our total cost or the total amount of money that was paid? We have calculated this to be $2,580. And the original cost of the computer is $2,100. So the difference of the two will give us the interest, and the difference is actually $480. $480 is our interest. This is what we have. Let us move on and look at another example. Let us move on and look at another example. That is example number 2. In this, we are told Supersound offers 2 deals on a sound system. Supersound offers two deals on a sound system. On a sound system worth $7,500. The sound system is worth $7,500. Let us look at the deals. We are told deal A, no deposit is required. No deposit. And it is interest free. And the system to be paid for in 18 months. That means in the first deal, you are not required to make any deposit. If you decide to take this deal, there is no interest. But the very important condition is that that system needs to be paid for in 18 months. It means we are going to have 18 monthly installments. What do we have in the second deal? In deal B, it is simple. A very interesting deal that if you make cash payments, you will get a 15% off the cash price. A 15% off the cash price. Let us proceed to questions. The first question is, Thomas chose deal A. Thomas chose deal A. We are required to find the deposit he pays. Roman 1, the deposit he pays. the deposit that Thomas will have to pay. And looking at the question, if you are to use the first deal, we are told that no deposit. There is no deposit that is required, so the deposit will be nil. No deposit. There is no deposit. Roman 2, we are asked to find the interest charged. When you go back to the first deal, what we are referring to as deal A, there is no interest. It is interest free. The next question is for us to find the total cost for the system to be paid in 18 months. The total cost of the system to be paid in 18 months. Since we don't have a deposit, we don't have interest, then it means the total cost or the total to be paid will be the original cost. Will be the original cost of the sound system, and our original cost of the sound system is $7,500. This is what Thomas needs to pay, or this is the total cost that Thomas will incur. The next question is how much is each repayment? How much is each repayment? Since Thomas has opted for a deal that includes 18 monthly installments and the total cost to be incurred being 7,500, we can be able to calculate the value of each installment. We can be able to calculate the value of each installment, and each installment let us write it here. Each installment will be the quotient of the total cost of the sound system out of the number of installments. The number of installments that he is supposed to make. And the total cost we have said is $7,500. The number of installments is 18. And this will give us the value of each installment will be $416.67. This will be the amount to be made in each installment or each repayment. We can now move on and look at part B of this question. All that we have done, we have been looking at part A. So let us move on and look at part B. In part B, we are told a person by the name Phil chose deal B. Phil chose deal B, and the question is, what does Phil pay? What does Phil pay for the same? For the same sound system. What does Phil pay? So if Phil decides to use the second deal, and in the second deal we are told is that you make a cash payment, you will receive a discount of 15%. The discount is 15%, so the payment will be less 15% on this amount here. So the payment will be 15% off the original price. 15% off the original price, and this means this payment will be 100% minus 15% of $7,500, and this will be 85% of $7,500, and if we convert this into a fraction, this will be 85 out of 100. We multiply by $7,500, giving us a payment of $6,375. This is what Phil is supposed to pay. This is what Phil is supposed to pay. Let us look at the last part of this second example. Part C is how much does Phil save? How much does Phil save? How much does this person save? We have looked at calculations of savings in our previous lessons, and we want to apply the knowledge that we have learned to handle this question. We want to get savings. If Phil decided to use the second deal where he or she has paid $6,375, then the difference between that and the original price of the sound system is our savings. So we can say savings will be equal to the original price minus the cash price. The original price minus the cash price. And you also know that we can also calculate the savings. We can also calculate the savings from taking the original price. The savings can also be calculated by looking at the discount. How much is the discount? Savings can also be calculated from the discount, and the discount is 15% of the cash price, or of the price that we have here. So this will give us $7,500 minus $63.75, and this will give us a saving of $1,125. This difference between the original price and the cash price that Phil made is our savings. This is what the person will save. That is the last part of the second example. Let us move on and look at the third one. Camden Finance Company charges 35% flat interest on all loans. Flat interest on all loans. This is a financial company that offers people loans, and we are told this company offers a flat rate of 35% interest on all the loans that it will extend to its clients. So let us look at the questions. Part A, a client by the name May borrows $15,000 from the company. $15,000 over 6 years. Part A, calculate the interest on the loan. If we have a flat rate of 35% on all loans, then it means the interest that May will pay on a $15,000 will be 35% of this amount, 35% of that amount, $15,000. And this interest can be calculated as follows. That is 35% of the loan, and our loan, we are told, is $15,000. 35% of this will be, you convert 35% to a fraction, then you multiply by the $15,000, and this will give us 5,250. This is the interest that this amount will attract in 6 years. We move on and look at the second question on part A, which is what is the total amount paid? What is the total amount paid? What is the total amount paid? Remember, the total amount to be paid back to the financial institution we'll have to include the original loan that was extended to May, together with the interest that has accrued over that period of 6 years. So the total amount paid or what we call total repaid will be the sum of the loan plus the interest that accrues. And this will be the sum of $15,000 plus $5,250, giving us $20,250. This is the total amount that should be repaid to the Camden Financial Institution by the client, May. Then we move on and look at what is the value of each monthly installment. What is the value of each monthly installment? What is the value of each monthly installment? You will realize that when they talk about the monthly installments, since we are repaying a loan, we don't have a deposit as it was the case in when we were paying off some purchases where we were people were acquiring items. In this case, we are talking about a loan and we don't have a deposit that is made. So this total amount that should be repaid is only going to be repaid using the second category of hire purchase, where we said we repay using installments, or what we call repayments only. These repayments are going to be made over a period of 6 years, and they are monthly installments. So we need to know how many installments are going to be made, because we already know the total amount to be repaid. Having known the number of installments that should be made, we can be able to proceed and calculate the value of each installment that should be made. So we say each installment will be equal to total repaid all over the number of installments, or repayments. What is the value of the total amount that should be paid? We have already calculated it, and this is $20,250. What is the number of installments that we have? We are told we have 6 years, and in a year we do have 12 installments in a year. And remember, we are talking about 6 years, so 12 times 60, this will give us around 72, should be 72. This will give us 72 installments. And the value of each installment, if you divided this 20,250 by 72, you will get $281.25. So each installment will be valued at $281.25 to be made over a period of 72 months or 6 years to repay this amount of $20,250. That is the first question, that is May borrowed that amount. Let us move on and look at the second part of this question, where we have another client by the name Lancel. We are through with May. Let us look at Lancel. Lancel borrows 24,000. $24,000 from the same company over 10 years. Over 10 years. What are the questions? We are told to calculate the interest on her loan. Since she is borrowing from the same company, that is Camden Finance Company, the interest, we are told, is at a flat rate of 35%. 35% of the loan that was advanced. So her interest will be 35% of the loan. How much is she borrowing? She is borrowing $24,000. And this will be 35 out of 100 multiplied by $24,000, giving us an interest to the tune of 8,400. This is the interest that Lancel will have to pay over a period of 10 years. Or this is the interest that a loan of $24,000 will attract over a period of 10 years. The second question is, what is the total amount repaid? What is the total amount repaid? How much will she pay at the end of it all? The total amount that she is going to pay just like in the first case, will be the sum of the loan that is advanced to her plus the interest. The interest that the loan will attract over a period of 10 years. And this, her loan is to the tune of $24,000, and the interest we've calculated is 8,400. This will give us $32,400. This is the amount that she will pay at the end of the entire period, which is 10 years. And the last question on this should be Roman 3. What is the value of each monthly installment? What is the value of each monthly installment? what is the value of each monthly installment. Just like in the first part of the question, for us to get the value of each monthly installment, we are going to take the total amount that was repaid, then we divide by the number of installments that are made for us to get the value of each installment. Total repaid, our total repaid is $32,400. Now, how many installments are we going to have? We are told this loan, the lifespan of this loan is 10 years. And in a single year, we have 12 installments. So in 10 years, it means we are going to have 10 times 12 installments, and that will give us 120 installments. In 10 years, she will have to make 120 installments, and each installment will be worth $270. Each installment will be worth $270. So having looked at the three examples, I hope by now you are able to calculate several concepts pertaining to paying off a purchase. And we started the lesson by looking at the ways in which a purchase can be paid. The first one was through cash payment, which we called instant payment or instant installment. Then we looked at the second one, which was the hire purchase mode of payment. And in hire purchase, we categorized it into two, where the first was you make a deposit followed by regular installments. And in the second category, you only make the payments using equal installments, that is, using installments over an agreed period of time. So having gone through example number 1, 2 to 3, I hope you are able to understand the concept. And I now want to give you an assignment, just a single question that will help you when you are revising on this concept. So in our today's assignment, the question is, George buys a car marked at $12,750. That is $12,750 on the terms on the terms 20% deposit and 36 monthly repayments. $36 monthly repayments of $295. Part A, we are asked to calculate the deposit. Part B, We are asked how much is owed after the deposit is paid. How much is owed after the deposit is paid? This next one is find the total of all the repayments. Part D, find the cost of buying the car. And lastly, we find the interest George pays on these terms. Those are the 5 questions or the 5 parts of this question, where George is buying a car that is marked at $12,750, where the conditions are 25% deposit should be made, followed by 36 monthly repayments or installments, and the value of each installment is $295. So I hope you'll be able to go through the questions with the knowledge that we have acquired today to be able to handle the same. So I want to invite you to my next lesson, where we will be looking at calculation of interest, and not just calculation of any other interest, but it will be interest that will be accruing on the minimum bank balances. That is, at the end of a given period, we calculate the interest that will accrue on that minimum bank balance. A very interesting lesson you can't afford to miss. Welcome and thank you.